Namaste friends, hope you're doing well. So what happens when moon goes to the fifth house? The fifth house is also called the Putra Bhava. Putra means progeny or children, and its feelings towards the your your feelings if you have moon in the fifth house, your feelings towards your children's will be naturally strong. You are connected. You want to know what's happening in school. You want to know what's happening in your child's health. Your child's well-being. You'll be very rather on your toes with them. You'll be always seeing what are they doing. Even if they keep quiet for a while, you want to know why are they quiet. You quickly run and see what's wrong, what's happening. You're always making sure that their well-being, your welfare is taken care of. You're very concerned about your children's. So this feelings towards your children also creates this a little bit of a problem. The problem is that you will have a sense of intentions in it, because naturally the moon is not a confident graha. It doesn't have much confidence, just like its counterpart the sun. The sun is very confident, very authoritative, very strong in willpower and all that. But the moon is it's very subtle, it's very kind, it's very amiable, very polite and all that. However, it doesn't have that tenacious ability, it doesn't have that conviction within itself. So what happens is, when it comes to children again, the moon will feel that the children have some form of you'll hope something from your children. You'll have an intention towards your children, and that creates a lot of problem in the family, because your child, when he or she grows, will finally will quickly understand that, okay, that you as the parent have a need, okay, and you are sort of grooming them to be what you wanted them to be, and their choice, their needs, their desires and all that would not be much taken into your consideration. So that's the problem I generally see if they have moon in the fifth house. Now again, my this video is all about although it's all about analyzing the attributes of the moon and all that, but in general what I'm saying is I will be giving you both the pleasant and adverse examples, so that you can clearly understand what's going on both sides of life, not only the good ones but also the bad ones. So to continue, the fifth house is also the house of education. You'll be always having this when it comes to because you're a mentally strong person, your mental is so strong, you just can quickly grasp things. You don't need to read a few times. So when it comes to education, you're naturally a very intelligent person. You can learn things very fast. Even if you're in a position in a job, you can quickly raise to the senior levels and all that, because your ability, you see, because the moon is natural temperament is such, it's very emotional. So even in a working environment, you tend to see what are your colleagues doing, what are they doing more than what you are. You always tend to gauge people, and this idea about analyzing how high or how low you are in a hierarchy gives the person advantage. Gives the person who has moon in any of the houses advantage. So in this fifth house, when it comes to education and intelligence, you will naturally outbeat the rest, because you're emotionally connected to them, and when you're emotionally connected, there's a seriousness there as well. Okay, but of course, on the adverse effects, you will make a lot of last minute decisions. Say you have something to complete, a project needs to be completed, it's 100%. You'll reach 95%. I mean, all the while 95% you had one mindset that this is what you're going to do, but at the last 5% you will make the wrong call. You will make something which is you're not supposed to do. Totally, you totally make the wrong call. These sort of things will also happen if you're on the fifth house. So you would have studied something and you are working something else. Your passion is lying somewhere, but you are doing something else. So this will create a lot of unhappiness to you as well. So moon is very important to analyze. The moon gives you that ability to think wisely, to think emotionally. But then this emotional can also, it's a slippery slope sometimes. If you make the wrong call, then you're going down the drains very fast. Okay, so again, yeah, your intelligence and education, if it's pleasant, will be really good. But when it comes to the adverse effects, if moon is afflicted and all that, you tend to make the wrong decisions at the last moment because of the confusion that you have within yourself. So when it comes to the fifth house, it's also the house of love affair. Now, being moon very emotional, very soft-spoken, very amiable, very kind, polite, and all that, they are lovers. They are very affectionate. They're very romantic. Okay, so you guys out there who have moon in the fifth house can be rest assured that the ladies will like you, and likewise the ladies who has this, the guys will be just crazy of you because you're very romantic, you're very sensual, and the moon, as much as Venus, it shows the feminine side of a person, that gracefulness and all that will be there, the beauty. So it's the perfect concoction for lovers, for a romantic relationship is one of the best. But the thing is, of course, like everything else, it has its pleasant and adverse. Now, if it's afflicted, or if it's conjuncted with a malefic graha, then one will have the suspiciousness, that sense of suspicion in a relationship, in a loving relationship. There'll be always problems when you're courting. Even suspicions, you don't trust your spouse, especially if your spouse is even more romantic or even good looking and all that. You have the natural assumption that he or she is having another relationship. Okay, this is very common when they have moon in the fifth house. Something to take note of. So if you constantly see that your relationship, your love life seems to be in turmoil, you keep breaking from your partners, you keep always, there's some kind of problems arising. There's always, on a day-to-day basis, a new problem is coming, and these problems are again due to your suspiciousness. Then is for certain you have your moon afflicted, and it's in the fifth house. What else? The fifth house also shows one's speculative business. Those stock market, those business when it comes to making speculations. That is one of the best. So if you have a moon in the fifth house, if you're a stockbroker or you're a trader, and you're an investor, you make and you study trending market trends and all that, you'll do really good. You know why? Because it's not all about when you have trending, when you do market trending, and when you do analyze on how the market works and how the stock market and everything actually works and grows, is not only through logical understanding, but also a emotional aspect is also very strong. That how people emotionally reacts changes the way the stock market moves. Correct. So if you have moon in the fifth place, not only you'll be intelligent to analyze the data, but you'll be also emotionally making that call, emotionally making the decisions. So your results, the consequences of using both your emotional and logical, creates a harmony within the speculative business, especially in the speculative business, and also not to forget the real estate business. That harmony will lead you into steady sustain of business and profits and gains and a lot of money. Okay, so if you're in that line, then I would really urge you to stay on it, to do more, to diversify yourself. But if you're not, then I would suggest that you could give it a try. Just give it a try, and you'll be surprised to see how well you do in those business. Once again, if it's afflicted, then chances are you'll keep a steady thought on investing on something, you will be fully focused. You're 150% sure that this is the the account that you want to play or you want to invest. Eventually, at the last moment, you'll switch your mind and you'll change it, and that will bring down the whole thing. So yeah, you have to be very careful. And then again, it also depends on the dasas, the main periods of lifetime, how strong your dasa is. This is something that I will cover on my future videos, but for now, just understand that if you are on the speculative business and you have moon in the 5th house, it's a very auspicious thing. But just make sure that the moon is not afflicted, or it's in the wrong dasa, or in the bhuktis, sub dasas, and so on. Now, what else? The 5th house is also the your sense of discretion, how well you make that judgment. How do you judge a person? How do you judge a situation? How do you judge your own life? Is seen in the 5th house. It's a very important thing to see, and of all the grahas, the moon is the best and the worst to be in the 5th house, because your decision is wholly depends on your on how your mind and your feelings are in harmony. I heard somewhere 100% of our decisions, almost all of our decisions, are based on emotional reaction. We seldom use our logics to make a decision. So in that case, emotional plays a very strong role. And when moon, who is the karaka for emotion, goes to your 5th house, the house of discretion, the house of judgment, the house of discernment, we have to be very careful. Sometimes you wonder, you've lived for a long time, and in this time of your life, you realize that you've made tremendous amount of mistakes. Everything you've done, the consequences were bad. Everything, every attempt, every advice that you give has turned around and given you a hard time. Anything that you have done, any decisions in life, always turns out to be bad. It is because your moon is not positioned well in the 5th house. Okay, so I can go on and on, but YouTube is limited, so that's a little bit about what I think the 5th house, the moon in the 5th house would do to you. I hope it has been beneficial, and hope to see you soon. Thank you. Namaste.